Hello all. So in this lecture we will see about debugging, then integration testing and gray box testing. So debugging. So after a failure has been detected, so it is necessary to identify the program statements that cause that error and which all statements are responsible for that error. So we have to precise statements. We have to identify those precise program statements. Then only we can correct those errors. So what we do is we try to identify the correct set of statements which cause that error and we try to fix them. So that is this process is known as debugging. So identifying the errors in a program and then fix them is known as debugging. So there are different approaches to debugging. First method is known as brute force method. So this is the most common method. You people also use this method while you write some code. So what we do is program is loaded with print statements to print the intermediate values. We try to print some intermediate value. We include some print statement here and there in the program. When some error has occurred, we try to give some print statements here and there. And we can find the intermediate values. We'll check for the intermediate values and check whether there is some error in the intermediate values. So if there is some error in that intermediate values, we can stop there and we can say that there is some state error in the statement. So in this way we can perform this brute force method. Then second method is known as backtracking. So here what we do is we start from the statement at which an error symptom has been discovered or observed, and the source code is traced backwards until the error is discovered. So we will find out where that error symptom has been observed and we will backtrack to the source code and we will find out where that error has occurred. So the number of lines might be 10 or 20. There maybe the number of lines will depend on the thing. So it is very difficult to do this debugging approach. So if it is a complex program, it will be very difficult to do this backtracking mechanism. Then third method is known as cause elimination method. So in this approach what we do is once a failure is observed, the symptoms of the failure are noted. So based on this failure symptoms, the causes which could possibly have contributed to the symptoms will be found out, and we develop some test cases to conduct to eliminate that symptoms. That's what we do. So what we do is we try to find out what all symptoms can cause these errors, and we try to design some test cases and test those symptoms. So if some error has occurred in a particular symptom, we can identify that this error has occurred in that statement. So this is known as cause elimination method. Okay. Then third method is program slicing. So this is similar to backtracking. Here a slice of a program is a set of source lines preceding the statement that can influence the value of the variable. So here what we do is we slice the program. The backtracking case, if some error has occurred, we have to backtrack, we have to start from that symptom and we have to backtrack until we find out that error. But in this case what we do is we divide the program into different slices. For example, we slice the program based on a variable. So if it is variable slicing is done, so if there is a variable x and we slice the program based on x, that is wherever x is used, all those statements will belong to a particular slice. So based on that we can slice the program. So and we can easily backtrack. So that is known as program back slicing. So we can easily find out by slicing the program into different small slices. Okay. Then there are some guidelines for debugging. For debugging requires a thorough understanding of the program design. So simply a person cannot debug. So you should understand thoroughly what the design is. Then only proper debugging is possible. And also in some cases full redesign of the system will be required. So this is because some novice programmers, what they do is they will try to not to fix the error, but they try to fix the symptoms that cause the error. then what happens is full redesign will be needed. Then if we try to correct an error, it might introduce some new errors. Then what we do is we have to perform regression testing must be carried out. If we have completed debugging, or if we have found out that error and if we have corrected that program, then again we have to perform this regression testing. We will see what is this regression testing later. So in order to analyze these programs, there are different automated tools that are available. So what these tools do is they will analyze the source code or the executable code of the program, and it will generate some reports like the size of the program, the complexity of the program, if there are adequate comments are there, it is adhering to programming standards. All these reports will be generated. So based on these tools, there are different tools like static analysis tools and also dynamic analysis tools are there. We did not go through all these tools and all. Just for your knowledge, there are some program analysis tools are also available. So these are all automated tools. Next we will study integration testing. So integration testing is carried out after all or at least some of the modules have been unit tested. So it starts after some of the modules are completed. So the aim is to test the module interface. That is, if we have two modules and if we want to combine these two modules or integrate these two modules, then there will be some interface between these modules or some transaction will be happening between these two modules. So we have to check those interfaces, those transactions should be checked. So different modules of a system are integrated using some integration plan. After each integration step, the partially integrated system will be tested. So there are different approaches for this integration testing. One is Big Bang approach, second is top-down approach, third is bottom-up approach, and fourth is mixed or sandwiched approach. We will see each one separately. First one is Big Bang approach. So here in Big Bang approach, what we do is we integrate all the modules making up a system together in a single step. So if there are 10 different modules that make the system, we will integrate all the modules at once and we try to test the whole system. So the problem here is all the modules of the system are simply put together and tested, but the difficulty is to localize their error because the error may belong to any of the modules. So it will be difficult to find out which module has caused that error. So this is known as Big Bang approach. Then second the integration approach is known as bottom-up approach. So what we do is here each subsystem is tested separately and then the full system is tested. That is, we start from the bottom. If there are some 2 or 3 modules and the leaf nodes, we try to integrate those 2 or 3 modules and we will make it as a subsystem and we will test that. Similarly, we will form different subsystems and we join those, integrate those subsystems and the full system is tested. So here we require driver modules. We have already seen in the unit testing, we have seen driver module and stub module. So in this case of bottom-up approach, we need to develop many driver modules. So objective is to test the interfaces among various modules making up the subsystem. So here both the control and data interfaces are also tested. So we start from the leaf nodes. So we start from the leaf modules, we integrate that. Again, those will form subsystems. Those subsystems will be integrated. That will form another subsystem. Like that, it will go on until it reaches the root node. So this is known as bottom-up approach. Then third type is top-down approach to integration testing. Here we start from the main routine or the root module. So we try to integrate 1 or 2 subordinate routines to the system. So we start from the root, we try to add 1 or 2 sub-modules to the system. So here what we require is, after some time, after the top level skeleton has been tested, the immediate subroutines are combined with it and tested. So it will go on. So here we need to create step modules. In the previous case, we had to create driver modules, and here we have to create step modules. That is, if we want to integrate the bottom modules, we have to create sub step modules, and then we have to integrate it. So we do not require to create driver modules here. Instead, we have to create step modules. Then fourth approach is mixed approach. Here follows a combination of both top down approach and bottom up approach. That is, whenever a module is ready, we try to integrate with some other module and test it. That's known as mixed approach. So here we don't wait for any of the modules. If some module is available, if some or 2 or 3 modules are available, if we can integrate those 2-3 modules, we simply integrate those 2-3 modules and test it. And if some other time one more module is ready, then we try to add that module to the system and perform this integration testing. So we don't start from leaf nodes or root nodes. We simply try to integrate whenever some module is available. So this is known as mixed approach. Then this integration can be performed in two manners. First one is phased and second is incremental. So in incremental integration testing, we will add only one new module to the partial system at each time. So we will add only one module to the system and test it. But in the case of phased integration, a group of related modules are added to the partial system each time, and then testing is performed. So that's the difference between phased and incremental testing. Okay. Next, it is testing on object-oriented programs. So we need to simply see this different approaches for this object-oriented programming. We did not study all the details and all. So we need, in the previous case, when we perform all this integration testing, all this unit testing and all, we simply test the functionalities or the functions or methods in the program. But in this case, we cannot simply test the functions inside a class, because here the object is the basic unit of testing in the object-oriented program. So there are different types of test cases that can be developed for object-oriented programs. We call it as gray box testing. So something in between white box and black box. So it is known as gray box testing. So there are different gray box testing methods. We need to simply see these things. One is state model based testing is there. So in state model based testing, we have state coverage testing, where the object states are tested. Then there is state transitions coverage is there, where we will check whether all transitions in the state model is working satisfactorily. We have already seen state transition diagrams. So we'll check whether all those state transitions are working perfectly. Then there is state transition path coverage. Here all the transition paths in the state model are tested. Then we have use case based testing. So we try to find out all the use cases and we'll check whether all the use cases are working properly. Then we have class diagram based testing. We try to test the derived classes. So some classes might be derived from some base classes. So we try to instantiate all the derived classes and it will be tested. Then there is association testing. All the association relations will be tested. Then there is aggregation testing. All the aggregate objects will be created and tested. Then there is sequence diagram based testing. In sequence diagram based testing, we have method coverage. We will check whether all the methods in the sequence diagrams are covered. Then we have message path coverage testing, in which all the message paths that can be constructed from the sequence diagram are covered. So these are some of the gray box testing. We need not learn all these things. We have to keep in mind that for object-oriented programming, we call it as gray box testing. So there are different kinds of gray box testing that are used for object-oriented programming. Then we have thread-based approach, all use-based approach. All these approaches are there in the case of gray box, in the case of object-oriented programming. Okay, that's all. Thank you.